What's new in Unanet 10.1, our new major release that is coming out, barring any zombie apocalypse. We hear tomorrow afternoon, close of business. So we're excited about having that. So thanks for joining us today. We're going to be covering 1099 processing and much more. There's more here, but much more. A lot of enhancements and features and reporting enhancements that we're going to cover today. So thank you for joining us today. I'm really excited that we have a special guest speaker, Dave Johnson, who's the Vice President of Product Management. So he's going to be talking today about the 1099 processing and enhancements in the Unanet 10.1. And I'm going to be covering all of the other additional enhancements that has been requested by you, our customers. Unanet really values our customer input and suggestions, and we do incorporate our customer requirements that you give us for our future major releases and point releases as frequently as possible. So we're going to get started. We have, of course, a few housekeeping notes here. So if you have some kind of experience with, internet, a delay or a lag in the response time, feel free to just drop off the session and just re-enter the webinar again. That should work pretty much every time. So it should not be an issue. And also today, joining me is Chris Craig, President and COO. Chris, are you there? Say hello.
Hi, Sherry. I'm here. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining this presentation. We're very excited about the launch of Unanet 10.1 and the enhancements, and moving on to Unanet 10.2. And I'll be online through the GoToWebinar console, just addressing questions that you can submit online. So if you open up the GoToWebinar console, there's a little orange arrow. If you click that, you'll see the questions section, and I'll be able to chat with you as we go along through the webinar. Thank you.
Great, great. Thanks, Chris. So I also wanted to note, new with GoToWebinar is an additional feature. In the bottom of your GoToWebinar screen is a new section called Handouts. And if you'll click down to there, you'll be able to see I've added 2 handouts for today's session. One is the PowerPoint version of what I'm going to go through today. There's not a lot of heavy content in the PowerPoint slides themselves, but you do have a copy here, and there are some important links in there that you might find useful. Second is a PDF of the contents of a new Knowledge Center entry that is focused on the 1099 functionality in Unanet. So that's a PDF that the contents of that PDF can also be found in the Knowledge Center, and I'll show you a link to that shortly when we cover that. So don't forget to go down to the handout section of the GoToWebinar. It's towards the bottom. It's right above the chat, below the questions. And Chris is going to be monitoring those questions throughout the day today. So I wanted to just kind of briefly go through, what we're going to be covering today, 1099 processing. In addition, there's some other enhancements, reporting enhancements, some timesheet adjustment reasons. There's a new OCONUS per diem calculation for inclusion of tax, and also we'll have a sneak preview of our mobile timesheet as well. So we're very excited about that today. I wanted to also talk about, I wanted to run a brief poll real quick, because I wanted to find out exactly who today is specifically interested in the 1099 processing currently. Do you have a requirement to report on 1099? You would want to have the financials package of the Unanet licensing available. So if you'll give me some insight to our audience here, 1099s are a requirement for any of our financials customers who have 1099 contractors. And a 1099 contractor, it's a worker that the company deems to be an independent contractor, and as a result, the company doesn't have to follow any of the laws involved in hiring an employee. So this includes not only not having to withhold any amount for taxes, and not having to pay the employee's portion of Social Security and Medicare taxes, not having to pay any premiums for workers' comp or employment insurance. So the desire to support 1099s is really a primary driver for our newest major release, the 10.1, that's due out tomorrow, close of business, for our on-premise customers, and for our on-demand customers will be available on December 13th next month on demand. So I have a few last minute ones coming in. So it looks like about 2/3 of the audience does have the requirement for 1099 processing, and about the other third not at this time. Okay, perfect. Thank you for letting me know about that. Let me close that off. I appreciate you showing me that. So I think we should get started. Dave, are you there? Dave Johnson? Hi, Dave. Can you hear? Can you talk?
Yes, I just said, yes, I'm here, assuming you've unmuted me, which you had not.
Oh, okay. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. All right. So today we're going to be covering the setup process of the 1099 vendors and reporting on those vendors. And additionally, we'll have a few settings here for property settings, account setup, organization list, the new admin export, and a 1099 service. So Dave's going to be talking to these items specifically for 1099. So Dave, I'm going to go ahead and make you the presenter so you can show us your demo system.
All right.
It should be coming to you shortly. Perfect. And I can see your screen, so you're looking good. Thanks, Dave.
Okay, so we should be looking at the configuration system properties.
That's what I see.
So one of the things we did here with the 1099s is that we're not really sure that everyone is going to need to actually use the 1099 functionality in the system. So we have a system property that allows you to enable or disable the 1099 functionality. This will be defaulted to disabled, so if you want to start using 1099s, the first thing you'll need to do is come in and check this checkbox. You need to note that, obviously, since the 1099s are generated from accounts payable payment information, you will need to have the Unanet financials in order to use this functionality. So first step you do is you check this checkbox, and when you do that, that will cause the rest of the stuff that I'm going to be showing in here to become visible in your system. The next modification that was made in the for 1099s was that with the payment methods, for 1099s, not all payments are necessarily going to be includable in a 1099. So a common issue is that if you make your payments through credit cards, generally speaking, those payments are included in 1099-K documents that are created by the credit card companies, and as a result, those are not necessarily included in your 1099 run. So that'll be something you'll need to figure out for yourself whether or not the particular payment methods are included or includable in 1099s, and if they are, then the little include in 1099 checkbox needs to be checked for that vendor payment method type. And what that does then is that if there are any payments made to a 1099 vendor using that payment method, then those payments will be included in the 1099 exports. Okay, so the next item is we had to have a way of determining which of the 1099 amount boxes that the various payments ended up going, needed to go into, because I think there's about 10 to 15 different boxes that could potentially be have numbers moved into them when creating the 1099 miscellaneous, and so we had to have a way of determining how that information is going to be populated into the various 1099 categories. And the way that we're doing that is we've added something called a 1099 category in the chart of accounts maintenance area. So the things that we did is that if you want to be able to see the 1099 categories now in the account lists, you can do that by checking the Show 1099 category, and then you can do the list, and you'll see now there's a new column here that has the 1099 category, and then we can go into one of the accounts, and you'll see there's now a new 1099 category value here, in all of your accounts, and from that you can pick which of the 1099 boxes, any amounts that are charged into this account will end up showing up in the 1099 export. So basically, the logic here is that if there is no category selected, that means that the particular payment is not going to be showing up in a 1099. So for instance, if you have a subcontractor and part of the payment that you're making is for like travel reimbursement or something like that that is not includable in 1099s, then you would charge that into account that wasn't associated with a 1099 box. But then the non-employee compensation part of it would be charged into account that was associated with a box 7 non-employee compensation 1099 category. So we do have the ability to basically populate any of the 1099 boxes by putting in the appropriate 1099 category and associating it with an account. So if for whatever reason you happen to have fishing boat proceeds, we can actually deal with that. I think obviously for our customer base, the non-employee compensation is probably going to be the main one that's going to be used, but we can handle all of the other types of 1099 categories as well. And then the kind of the last part of the setup information for 1099s is that we need to be able to specify whether or not an organization is a 1099 vendor, and if they are, we need to provide some information that will facilitate creating the necessary 1099 information. So on the organization list screen here, we have a new checkbox that allows you to include only 1099 vendors. So if I click this list now, these are the vendors that have been set up in our demo database here that have been set up as 1099 vendors, and we can then go in and take a look and see what that means. You'll note that there's now a new 1099 tab here, and that again is here only because we checked the system property saying that we wanted to use 1099s. So if an organization is a 1099 vendor, you'll need to check the checkbox on that. So one thing to note is that if this checkbox is not checked, then we will not be creating any 1099 information for the vendor. So this is really the key thing here that will determine whether or not the payments made to the vendor are going to be showing up in the 1099 export. And then we have several other fields here that are going to be used in the export itself. So the first field is the recipient name. This is used if you have a 1099 vendor that has a doing business as name as the organization name, but their real name is so maybe it's Fred's consultant company or something like that is the doing business name, but the person's name is Fred Johnson. In that case, you would put Fred Johnson in here because the IRS likes the person's real name to be included in the 1099. If the person's actual name and the name in the organization are one and the same, then this could be blank. We have a recipient email. The IRS does allow you to actually email 1099 information to your vendors if they have allowed you to do that, and if so, you could put in the email address that you want the 1099 to be emailed to, and then we have the the federal ID information here. So the three types that we have are employee identification number, ITIN, and SSN, and then you would pick one of those and then put in the federal tax ID that's provided by the the vendor. One other thing to note is that the address that's going to be showing up in the 1099 export will be the remit to address of the organization. So you need to be and this is basically also the address that that's used by the accounts payable system when you're creating checks and things like that. So you do need to make sure that the the default remit to address is specified correctly before doing the 1099 process. The last thing that we added here is we did add the ability to include attachments to organizations now. This is a new feature. It works, basically the same as all the other attachment places. So you can just, go out and browse for a file. We put this in so that if you wanted to do things like, include the W-9 form from the vendor, right there on the organization letter, record, or if you had, things like authorization to email or any other kind of documents that are related to the 1099, or for that any other processing, related to organizations, you could, now attach documents at the vendor level. Okay, so that's that's pretty much it for the setup. Now, as far as processing goes, you would need to just continue to do your processing the same as the payables processing that you're doing now. Definitely the key thing is that the accounts that have been charged, or that the expenses have been charged to, need to have the correct association with the 1099 categories. It is not necessary that the association be there when the document was originally created, because we're not actually storing the 1099 info at the individual document level. What we're doing is we're doing the relationship between the account and the 1099 category at the time that the export is run. Now, a couple of things to note here. The way that we are determining whether or not something is a payment that should be included in the 1099 run for a year is that it is based on the document date of the vendor payment. Okay, so for 1099s, it's a little bit different than a lot of things, and that is that the 1099 is actually reportable to the government when the payment is actually made. So the way that we're determining when the payment is made, it's not based on the fiscal period it was posted to or anything. It is based on the document date. So in this case, if we wanted to run 1099s for this year, we pick the current year, and we will then pick up any document, any vendor payment documents that have a document date between 1/1/2015 and 12/31/2015. And as far as the the document dates go, it really is just the original document that has that controls how all this thing works. So in Unanet 10, as I'm sure many of you are familiar, we do have the ability to create vendor payments and not associate them, initially with, detail lines or with, vendor invoices. We can come in later and actually do those associations using something called an application document. But the application document is basically just treated as an extension of the, the original payment document. So, as long as you get the allocations to vendor invoices and detail lines done sometime before you run the the export, you're going to be fine. So just a brief note, we do handle the possibility of there being partial payments on documents. So if you have a vendor invoice, say for $5,000, and you pay $2,000 of it, and a portion of it was for 1099s, or was associated with the 1099, and part of it wasn't, we would just do a pro rata portion, so 2,000 divided by 5,000 times the relative amounts of 1099able and non-1099able amounts to determine what the 1099 amount was for the for the particular document. So we do handle the proration type thing. Let me go back to the list here just for a second. We have a document level detail export that it's recommended that you run prior to actually doing the filing documents. And what this document does is it gives you the detail at the vendor payment level for exactly what the breakdown was by payment document. So you can see here, and let me just download the file and open it. Okay, so in this export, you've got the org code, org name, the document number, the document date, some kind of reference number, and then we also have some important, we also have some other important information here. So we have the total payment amount. We have unapplied payment amount. So this is something that you want to take a look at before doing your 1099s to make sure that all of the payments have been fully applied. If they have not been applied yet, we don't know what the 1099 category would be, so they will not be included in the 1099. So that's kind of one of the best practice first steps that you take. The non-1099 amount, this is anything that's charged to an account that was not associated with the 1099 category. So you can take a look at that and make sure that that's reasonable. And then we have all of the other 1099 boxes that are populated with the amounts at the detailed document level that will add up to be the amounts that are going to show up in the actual export. Okay, so this was an export that we created to kind of help out with looking at some of the details to verify that the information that's in there is correct. Okay. Note, as Sherry mentioned, there is a Knowledge Center entry here about the how to process the 1099s, and it's got tips, it's got setup information that we just went through. Note that we have 1099 export templates that you will need to download in order to run the 1099 process. So you can come here and just click on these and download them and import them into your system. So at this point, we have 3 of those. We have the document level 1099 detail one, which I just showed you, and then we have 2 vendors that we have created export templates for, so that you can just use these out of the box. And we've, and I'll show you how that works here shortly. There's also a write-up on, kind of the details of exactly where all the informations are coming, where the information is coming from. One thing I didn't mention is that if you are creating vendor invoices from your expense reports, the 1099 process will actually be going back to the expense report to determine, whether or not the amounts that were paid on the expense report were 1099able or not. So there's really 3 sources of information. We have the the vendor invoices that are paid in a vendor payment. For those, we'll go back and look at the detail lines in the vendor invoice to determine the appropriate category. We have vendor invoices that were created from expense reports, and again, we'll go back to those detail lines to determine the category. And then you can also put actual detail lines in the vendor payments, and we'll use the accounts that are actually on those detail lines. And again, the application documents associated with a vendor payment will be treated exactly the same as if they were included in the original vendor payment themselves. And then, lastly, we have a end of year process. So it's basically the steps that we just talked about. Some information about the types of things that you might want to do to verify that the information is correct that you're going to be exporting, and then a couple of sections for how to use the 2 sites that we're supporting out of the box in terms of getting signed up for them and how to import the information in them. Both of the sites are pretty straightforward once you get in them. They've got really good help documentation, and it's a pretty straightforward, simple thing to do. So let's go in. So this is my this is one of the ones that we're supporting. It's Track 1099, and so I've already pre-set up my username and password. Hopefully I remember them. Nope. Okay. So once I'm in here, I've previously been set up, and I just go in and I click the Track 1099, and I'm in the. I've already set up my demo company. So the demo company in this particular one actually has just the company level information that is going to be needed for doing the actual filing. So once I've done with that, you can either enter the information manually, or what we're going to do is import stuff using a CSV file. To do that, just select the file, and we'll go into my 1099. And just import it. Okay, and you'll notice here, it's a nice little screen. You'll notice I've got a little error here. If you click into it, you can see what the problem is. So in this case, I didn't have an address, and you really have the option here of either just making the modifications in this software, or alternatively, you could go back in and just re-import everything. But you can see all of the information that was included in our export is now in here. And then basically you have a number of options here in terms of how you want to do the filing. So you can e-file, you can mail, you can download, you can print it. So just quite a few different features that are available. And this is really one of the primary reasons that we went with the approach of using third-party contracts or third-party sources to do it, because they provide so many other types of services, like the ability to e-file or to deliver by mail or email, much more robust type of functionality than we would have the time to do really in Unanet. So it's kind of like the same that we're doing with payroll. There are people that are specializing in these kind of programs. This is more of a once a year type thing. And then the other thing was that the pricing on it was pretty reasonable. I think that for 100 or less users, it averages about $2 per 1099, which is, and then for 500 vendors, it would be like $1 per user. So, and that's really one of the other reasons we picked these two, is that they had pretty reasonable prices, and the sites look pretty good. So the other one is Avalara, which many of you may have heard of. They're primarily known for their sales tax functionality, but they also have 1099s, and again they have processes like tin match, and you can keep track of your W-9s. You can schedule filings. There's all kinds of address validation. So there's all kinds of additional functionality that's available in here that you can take advantage of. And we make it very easy to get the payment information exported out of Unanet into these systems. And that's all I had, Sherry.
Great, great. Well, thank you, Dave. Thanks a lot. Chris, do we have any questions on the 1099 processing from our audience today?
Yeah, a few questions came in. I was able to answer the first one. So that was about just updating the chart of accounts to designate the accounts as 1099. You can do that through the import-export. Yep. And there were 3 questions that basically related to the same topic. So it's obviously a hot topic. So I'll kind of say Bob's question. So when you're talking about the document date, are you talking about the voucher date or the check date? We pay vendors net 30, so most invoices, vouchers will be paid in January. It sounds as though the system will pick up.
Okay, so it is all based on the payment date. Okay, so let's go into like a vendor payment. So the invoices themselves do not do anything in terms of causing any kind of 1099able transaction. That is all done based on vendor payments. Okay, so the vendor payment has a document date, and this will, for a check run, this will be the check date. For any other type of payment, this should be set at the date that the payment is actually made. Okay, so let's say that you had the instance where you had vendor invoices that go into the system in December, but they're not paid until January. The entry of the vendor invoices into the system does not do anything as far as the 1099 process goes. What will do it is when you actually create a payment document that vendor invoice was included on, and that vendor payment document will have its own independent document date, which should be the date that the payment was actually made. And then the amount of the payment will be divvied up into the various 1099 account categories based on the items that were included in the payment. So if you had like 3 vendor invoices and a couple of detail lines and a couple of expense reports that are all based made on that same document, we will go back to all of the documents that are being paid on that and determine the breakdown of the amounts that are being paid by 1099 category, or in the case of the accounts that didn't have a 1099 category, the 1099 category would be blank.
Okay, great, thank you. Final question on the 1099s. It appears as we would have to separate the exports. To separate the exports by type of tax ID.
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by different tax ID. That would typically be at the legal entity level, I would imagine, and we do it at the so the exports themselves are run at the legal entity level. So when you run the export, you have to specify which company you're doing it for. So in this case, I have my demo legal entity, and I'm running the export just for items that are in that legal entity. Is that what the question was?
Dave Hazlitt, I've just unmuted you. If you want to talk and clarify your question, you can do that.
Thank you. Now, Dave, when you were on the 1099 doing the demo of importing into, I don't know, that first one, yeah, track 1099, on the import it said recipient's federal ID type, and notice how there's separate ones for SSN, EIN, ITIN.
Right, but there's only one per recipient. So the federal tax ID for a recipient is either a Social Security number, an employee identification number.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
this just says that the number that's being provided is a Social Security number versus an employee identification number.
Okay, so when we create the export file and then upload it, your choice in the export file, your choice in Unanet corresponds to one of these 3 or 4. And
right. So this is just what we're looking at here is an individual 1099. So for the 1099 for recipient, yes, 1099 too. The federal ID that was used by this person was an ITIN, and this is the number that it was.
Okay.
Okay. But if we go back to the previous page, wherever that was.
Well,
and we look at the next one, okay, that one's a Social Security number. So this is really just at the individual 1099 level. You have to specify what the, what type of federal ID type it was and what the recipient's federal ID number was. But there's no, so that's, and then at the payer level, it also have, you also have your payer federal ID number and stuff.
So the export.
Okay.
up with the import data without doing anything differently?
I missed part of what you said. You kind of broke up.
Under the import data thing, the export file from Unanet, we don't have to do anything differently with it to just upload it right into Track 1099?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you have, like if you have an instance with multiple legal entities, you would need to set up, multiple payers in here.
Right.
In Track 1099, one for each of your legal entities, and then you would do separate exports for each of those into Track 1099, but you would only need to do one, import per legal entity.
Got
it. Hey Dave, Bob had a question on how to handle payments that are performed before going live.
So I would say for that, you could put in vendor payments, and you're going to have to do some manual research, obviously, to figure out what they are. But you could put in manual, or do manual vendor payments that break things out into the correct accounts, and just not have them post to the general ledger. This is not run off the general ledger; it's run off of payables information. Okay, so you could enter payables. I guess it'd probably be a little tricky. Well, let me think. Yeah, probably the best way to do it would be to set up or enter vendor invoices and then pay them in some time prior to the go live date, because otherwise they're going to show up on the AP aging, I would think.
Okay, great. Sherry, back to you.
Thank you, Dave. And maybe we could take that one offline,
Yeah,
more.
I think we should probably add something like that, into the document. I don't think I put anything in there. But
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Dave, and thanks for those great questions. I am going to take back the screen and try to go through as quickly as possible through some additional enhancements for 10.1, and I want to end up with, let me see if I can get my controls back going in here. So we looked in here, we took the Q&A, and here again is our Knowledge Center entry. So when you have your PowerPoint and upload that, there will be the link here for you could go to that KC entry, the Knowledge Center entry that Dave showed, and also the actual output of that is created in a PDF that's in your handout in the GoToWebinar at the bottom of the box, the GoToWebinar box. So additionally, I have even more minor enhancements that I'm going to go through pretty quickly today. Reporting criteria, percent complete, time in, time out, customer unpaid, some different reporting things that are happening here, as well as the OCONUS per diem new calculations and reprinting the check runs. And we will be ending with a demo of the mobile timesheet. So let's, without further ado, go take a look in my demo system. Right, so the first thing that I wanted to show today is the option to have filtering projects, certain reports by the project lead. And the reports that I'm referring to are really the financial metrics report, the periodic cost summary and status, cost summary, the cost summary JSR report, revenue and funding summary, and the metrics, project metrics and comparison report. So really the number of customers, we have a number of customers using the project lead as really the role of the project manager, that job function, while the project manager role in Unanet is really maybe a contracts manager that's initially creating the project. For preventing the project, it's the project lead. So for easier and quicker searching of their projects, we have this new search report criteria, the project lead. And again, it's on periodic cost summary, financial metrics reports in general, to be able to search on projects by that last name or that organization code and view those projects based on that code. So the project lead. added to the financial metrics report. The next thing is a percent complete granularity. We've added 3 decimal points to the complete percent complete, which was previously just the whole number. It would round to the whole number. So that's going to grant additional granularity of computations. You can see here in our project status report here, as well as other reports that show and use that percent complete. The calculations are going to be at a much more granular level. So there's the precision in the percent complete with 3 decimal places. And that's also with the budget tab for not only, go back to the project here, to not only at the project level, but also at the task level and any budget snapshots as well. So just a note there for that percent complete, wherever you see the percent complete and can be input. All right, so the next exciting enhancement is we have a time in, time out. If you click into the time in, time out button, for those of you that may have time in, time out, there's a little green starter button and a stop button, so it will automatically take the time that you have on the clock and add that to the time in. You can see that I checked in here today at 12:23, and I can check out today. It gives the time, and I can say okay, and we're off and running again. So just an enhancement there to really more easily facilitate the entry of those start and time values just by hitting the green and red buttons. In addition, we have some predefined adjustment reasons. I'm going to go to a completed timesheet here, and for those of you that are making adjustments or changes to those timesheets, I'm going to change mine to be an entry on my timesheet report here and submit that. Oops, that was not supposed to happen here, but we'll just go back to my timesheet. Let's see here if I can go back to it one more time. Let's try one more person that may have a completed timesheet system. Going down to my completed timesheets, let's see. And my test data here, I'm just looking for someone else that might have a completed timesheet here. Oh, let me look at, let's see, maybe one of the older original, oh, nope. I'm looking for a timesheet to make a modification, but in general there is an ability now to add the other change reason and add textual information to that other change reason. Let me check one more person and then I will move on because I know we're time sensitive here. There we go. Here we go. We're going to go to Ann Curry here. Go into her timesheet. I'm going to make a change and save that change. Yeah, and I'm gonna have to punt on that one, Dave, and come back to that one at a later point in time. In addition here, the 2 properties that are important to be able to enable now that are new in the 10.1 system is the include other audit trail change reason and including the other adjustment change reason. So if you have a change in your timesheet and making a change once you've saved it, then you can go back to selecting the other option, and the other option will allow you to put in specific text string to describe what the actual change reason and why you made the change. So that's the ability that we'd be able to enhance on those change reasons. So, all right, so moving on, the next one that I wanted to review pretty quickly here was the ability to reprint the checks, reprinting checks. So we have this check print history feature that's really been enhanced now to allow for the reprinting of completed check runs. So we have a new printer icon that's been added to this list. So those of you that have entries that have yet to be completed see this green checkbox. So that means it's the first time to go through and lead that leading check mark to click on the green check mark and take you to the process printed check screen where you can finalize the processes. But for those entries that have already been through those process printed checks function, a leading printer icon here will be available. So you can click onto the printer icon here, and it will take you to a screen where you can view and print and download, etc., the checks. So we have that new option for you that's going to be available. The next one is our customer payment. To be able to facilitate the capability to alter details on an invoice that was subsequently included on a customer payment document, we have the ability now to select on it to void or unpost a customer payment. So we have the ability to unpost that customer payment. And that was really a feature available to users having the administrator role. So those customer payments include a deposit or posted on a closed fiscal period, and that cannot be unposted. So it's really important to note that. So we have that additional capability that we've added to the 10.1 system. In addition, our journal details report has a new selection criteria at the bottom to include transactions posted to the general ledger and include transactions not posted to the general ledger. So we added those two selection criteria, and you can see there's a new column here that's available in the journal details report to include this output. Then it really determines whether each line has been posted to the general ledger or not. And then one other item is in the OCONUS tax handling. So the per diem calculations have been modified to consider OCONUS locations when calculating the tax overage. So I'm going to go into my lodging allowable instance for just a moment. And clicking in here, you see I'm in Alabama, in Abbeville, and I've got a per diem allowance here of $89. My roommate was an astronomical $500 with my tax of $100. So you can see the tax overage is included in the calculation here. So if I change gears to go to an OCONUS location, picking Afghanistan only because it's at the top of the list here, and recalculating, you'll see that let's see here, let me select one of the facilities here. My per diem allowance is 51, and because of that OCONUS calculation, the overage is not taking into consideration the tax overage here. So just a different calculation for the CONUS versus OCONUS locations. Now, I wanted to end with a big, big bang, going back to Dave, and I'm sure everyone is still sticking with us because this is really a highlight. Dave, I'm going to make you the presenter, and we are going to present our mobile optimized version of the timesheet entry with Unanet 10.1. It's going to be a future release in 10.1. We think it's going to be due out in the first quarter of 2016. So it'll be a point release coming out with our 10.1 release. So rather than build an app, which would need to be downloaded and configured, we wanted to enable employees to access their timesheet from the browser on their mobile device with a page layout that optimized for the screen size. So Dave's going to show this. Dave, back to you.
Okay, so this is actually my personal phone. You can see I get kind of random screen things here, but if I go into it, I've got the mobile timesheet web page that we have here. Basically this is access the same. You could actually, if you wanted to, access this through any browser, but the place that it really shines is on mobile devices, obviously. This is the mobile landing page. We have the same thing as everywhere else where you can log in. So I'll log in, and our kind of landing page here gives you the ability to do four things. One is you can go to the current timesheet, or you can go to a different timesheet period. If you go to a different timesheet period, you have the option of going and looking at historical timesheets. So in this case, if I go to my August timesheet, you can see that I've got the history of all the things that are in there. Everything is disabled because it's in a lock status. However, you can go from day to day to see what the transactions were that were included in there. So if you had some reason that you needed to go back and take a look at historical timesheets, you could do that here. So let's just go back to the main landing page. If you want to, you can also go to full Unanet. So obviously, as you all know, the full Unanet is available on any device. It just the timesheet doesn't tend to fit quite as well on it. But if you had to go do something in the full Unanet, you could also do that by clicking full Unanet, or you can log out. So let's go take a look at the current timesheet period. One thing that's important to note is that the logic that's included in the mobile time is pretty much identical to the logic that is included in the existing timesheet. We did attempt to use as much of the existing business logic as we could, so it was really more of a matter of refactoring the way that the user interface looked, but as far as the business logic and everything goes, it's the same. So for this particular user, this is he's on a weekly timesheet. So you can see up at the top we have here the days that are open for the week. The current day is highlighted a little bit differently in that it's in green. The weekends are also in a little bit different color, so you can see that they're a little that they're not quite the same as the regular days. Down in the bottom, then we have all of the lines that are included in the timesheet, regardless of whether or not there are any hours in them for the particular day. So essentially this looks it works basically the same, or as close to the same as we could possibly get it to working like the existing the existing timesheet. You'll note when I click my finger on any of these, it's going through and it's changing the time. A couple of notes here. The customer, or the project org, the project code, the task, the labor category, basically all of the fields that are available in the existing timesheet show up in here. We have the ability to add comments to stuff here. So if I wanted to add a comment to this, it'll come in, it'll bring up your keyboard on your mobile device. Also, one thing I think is kind of cool is you can do the work hard. And it'll actually come in through your speaker in your phone, and then when you kind of move on, it'll go in. So it's just basically the same as if you had entered the text manually. In the case of my phone doing text, I can use the swipe function and everything. So basically all of the normal functions of your phone are going to be there, and they're going to work the same as they do in anything else. The keypad comes up for numeric fields. So if I want to put in a number, I could just put in the number there. It'll move on to the next one, and so on and so forth. Okay, so a couple of other niceties here. If you take a look, you'll notice that there's another little 9 down here. What that means is that for this work breakdown structure, there are a total of 9 hours put into this line. So there's 6 hours on this day, and then there's 3 hours in some other day. So if you go and take a look here, there's 1 hour there, there's 2 hours there, there's 6 hours there, to add up to the 9 that's in here. To show you some of the stuff that's here, so I can put in 2 hours and go on to next, but like in the normal timesheet, we know that the project doesn't allow us to enter the dates in the future, so that same type of functionality is available here. Okay, so now up at the top, there's another little thing here that allows you to do a couple of things. One is toggle project details. So in the cases where you may have like monthly timesheets or semi-monthly timesheets or biweekly timesheets, it might be that your phone is small and you don't really have the it's just hard to look at everything when there's all the lines in it and the date grid. So what you can do for that is you can do the toggle project details, and then when you go into a particular day, it actually takes you to another screen that has just the individual timesheet detail lines in there, and you can modify these as necessary, and then when you're done, it'll take you back to here. We also have the ability to add projects. The add project stuff has basically the same type of lookup functionality as we have in most of the new financials. So these are the new financial lookups where you can just type in whatever it is that you want to type in. And again, you can use you could speak to it if you know something. So if I wanted to do something like put in demo, and it'll bring that in, and you can select it, and it works basically the same in all of the fields down here. The defaulting that happens for the project type and pay code and everything else works exactly the same as it does in the existing timesheet. If you are going to create a new timesheet in here, it will use the same logic that we have in the existing timesheet to auto-populate the line items in the timesheet if you happen to have that feature turned on. And then once you also notice up at the top, it's got the timesheet period. It's got the total hours, included in the timesheet so far, and then it's got the status of the timesheet. Since this one is still maintainable, it's actually going to be in use. Okay, and then when you're done, you can save. And then you can also submit it, and essentially the save and submit will go through the same types of checks that it does in the existing timesheet. Once the timesheet has been approved, however, it is locked as far as this timesheet is. We are not currently allowing you to make adjustments in the mobile timesheet. There is one other limitation to the timesheet, to the mobile timesheet. At this time, we are not supporting the ability to enter time in, time out in the mobile device. That may be coming, in the future when, kind of depending on if we get a lot of feedback that that's a necessary feature. But we wanted to, get this out as quickly as possible, so that did not make the cut for this particular release. Okay,
Great.
Sherry?
Thank you, Dave. Thank you so much. Chris, we have about 3 minutes left. Are there any questions on the mobile timesheet or anything else that we showed in the last half hour?
Yeah, one quick question we can probably answer pretty quickly, and it's actually not on the mobile timesheet. So if you go back to Unanet, we'll talk about it. On the organization attachment, the question was related to are those documents searchable on the organization attachment? They're not project notes, but they're organization attachments. If you have them in there, are they just listed, or are they actually searchable somewhere?
These are not currently searchable. They are just things that are attached to the organization at this point.
Okay. And I think that was all of the questions, unless anyone else wants to comment. Mobile time looks awesome. Thank you. That's it, Sherry.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And just to reiterate, the mobile timesheet, that's going to be available in Q1 of 2016 in a point release for our 10.1 major release. So we'll keep you abreast on the actual delivery of that. And then for 10.1, just as a reminder, the 10.1 release will be available for on-premise close of business tomorrow, and then for our on-demand customers, our cloud customers, on December 13th.
One more question just came in.
Oh, sure, Chris.
So it relates to the stored procedure. So yes, the stored procedures will also work on the mobile optimized timesheet, and you'll see those error messages come up. be either the soft warning or the hard stop that will happen on the mobile timesheet as well.
Great, great. Well, thank you, and thank you for everyone attending. We're glad you joined us today. If you have further questions, don't hesitate to let us know. Just email cam@unanet.com, and we can continue discussions with any of the questions that you have on 10.1, anything that you saw today. And have a great Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving for next week. And again, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Dave, thank you so much for joining, and Chris for monitoring our questions.